Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Everyone ready?
Welcome. Welcome. Everybody ready? Let's do this. All right. Welcome
Do
to
it.
the Apprentice Worldwide um, webinar. And we are here joined by a bunch of team members from around the world, all the way from Turkey. We got owner, we got people in the Southeast, in the North, and in the West. So I'm happy to have you all here. Today's a special occasion. This is something that we've been working on for quite some time. Probably Chui and I met like 4 or 5 months ago. There's no
Yes.
coincidence in life, I believe. Things have to happen uh, for a reason, and Chui's team reached out to me initially, kind of like what people do in LinkedIn, right? Trying to get some business. But then I reached out to Chui's employee and said, you know what, I gotta meet this guy Chui, and that's how I met Chui. I asked for him, and I said, hey, you are aligned to what we do in life. We've been working very, very hard for years to build a community that does networking, career development together. And of course, Chui is a career coach that has had a similar journey. He'll share his journey in a little bit, but a similar journey to what I went through, which started with losing my job, and also with not having the support system around, with good mentors and good people. And he decided to do something out of it, same way that I did, and the same reason why we're here together. But he took it to a different route. He built up his practice, which has been very successful also for the past 10 years, I believe. And
Correct.
he's been little by little building his technology offering besides or parallel to his coaching practice. And that's how the Job Helpers came about. So I just wanted to mention that the Job Helpers is now officially a partner of Apprentice Worldwide. Um, Chui will be able to promote his events and activities with the team. He obviously he does this for a living, in difference from us at Apprentice, where we're fully volunteers. Chui works for the Job Helpers; it's his company, so he does make money off the Job Helpers. However, and we'll clearly see, he's going to provide a lot of services for free to our team and a lot of consultation. And also, he's giving a lot of special pricing to some of the things that he normally charges a lot for. For executives, he's going to give an introductory ways to help. And at the end of the day, guys, it's all about trying to help each other succeed and finding ways to make it happen. And we know that at an initial stage, people that are starting in their careers, they don't have money to pay for coaching. Therefore, we give most of it is free for that same reason, because we're trying to give you for this to be a launch pad for your future success, not only for young entrepreneurs but for young professionals. And then we support you throughout your career until you make your dreams happen. And that could be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. We Ignacio, Ed, and I have been hanging out for 10, 20 years, and we still keep doing that. We help each other in our careers, besides being absolute uh, great friends with each other, and try to help us out each other in life as well. Now that's where Chewy comes perfectly in. He's also a mentor at Apprentice. He loved it so much that he said, I want to be a mentor. I said he's been helping out people. So again, without further ado, I bring you Chewy with the Job Helpers. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Hernan. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and thank you so much for the support. I just wanted to tell you, hey, you're not alone. You have help. You just have to look in the right places, and either someone's gonna mentor you, or you need to ask the right questions in life for things to happen, right? So that's kind of the career success or the journey I've had in my life, where coming from Sri Lanka, a very tropical island, I landed here in North Dakota, where I still live in North Dakota, a very cold place, right? So I've lived here for close to about 18 years now. And when I moved here, there was no support system for me or anyone coming through international students. I mean, there's the International Students Office, but then they could do only so much. And you could only work so many hours. You could get so much experience. I mean, you had to go to school. That was kind of more of a full-time job, right? So anyhow, I just managed to kind of stumble on a couple things. I mean, one of the things, the most important thing that changed my career was when I was at Microsoft, a lot of my coworkers were coming to me asking me questions. Chui, how did you build your resume? Because you seem to be doing something different, something that's eye-catching, something that's passing through these ATS keyword bots. And then at the time, the ATS or keywords or other things were just kind of a brand new thing, even for Microsoft. So, and this was back in 2011, 2012 era. So when I was there, a lot of my colleagues came to me and asked me questions, and I felt important because I knew something that they're kind of struggling on, or I knew something how to do. So I started kind of building resumes for people on the side. I was doing it for free at first, and then as time went, more and more people were coming in. They were coming through connections or referrals. Hey, can you look at my sister's resume? Can you look at my brother-in-law's? So all of a sudden, it just happened to be a lot of demand in this segment where a lot of people didn't know what they were doing. So I started working on this more on, giving 50% to my, at the time, full-time job, in the sense, in terms of 8 to 5. And then from 6 p.m. to like 11 p.m., I was doing the job helpers work. I started it on my own. It was kind of more of a smaller operation, bootstrapped. And then a lot of people were just interested, and all of a sudden I met my neighbor, the person who lived at the time at my apartment right in front of me. He was going for an operations director type of role, really high level role. And then he was just telling me how unhappy he was, or how he was not getting any interviews. He was just application after application, that he was getting this daunting message of, oh, thanks for applying, but we've decided to go with another candidate. So I told him about the ATS process, the keywords, and he's like, okay, I'm old school, Chewy. I don't understand half of what you just said. Can you do this for me? And then I helped him out, and then he brought the entire half of my apartment set was just getting services from me or paying me to do certain things. It was like a Tupperware party for resumes. So that's how I started this business. And it was not so much of a business at first, it was more of an idea. But that idea was to help as many people as I could. So that was kind of the focus point there. Recently, I met with Hernan and the team. I've met Ed and then Ignacio. So wonderful people. I was like, okay, this is just, this is kind of the synergy I was looking for, because I wanted to give back. I wanted to help apprentice or people who are just starting their career, who might have just gotten burnt out, or maybe super excited to the point where, oh my gosh, I'm going to get into a really good career, but then maybe some setback, or they're having success, but they're unhappy with what they're doing. Whatever the reason may be, this is a really good session that I'm about to do, because it's going to cover a plethora of different things that would help you. Resources, tool to put it in your tool chest. And then even if you're in a different country like Turkey or say United Kingdom, or say Australia or Sri Lanka, India, wherever you are, this is going to help you, because now you're going to think about, okay, this is my career. How do I present myself? That's kind of the bottom line, because we've written resumes, over 55,000 resumes at the job helpers now. So we built, I can guarantee you, we have built a resume for every continent. Accenture is one of our partners, who's a global partner of ours. And then also we have companies like that where we would go in and help these people who are getting laid off. So we've built resumes for different continents, countries, Through LinkedIn, we've gotten people from Nigeria and Macau, China, and then all these countries like Singapore, Hong Kong. So you name it, there's some, I mean, we built a resume for every country now, or every continent per se. So we know the structure, the format, how everything needs to be. And don't think about the CV format if you're overseas. They're going towards more of a resume format nowadays because things are moving fast, but not fast enough as the US does. They're using more of those ATS screener software, but then Turkey and other countries might be just getting started with those systems because nowadays everything is happening digitally or online. So that's one of the key pieces out of this conversation I want you to take, because think of, okay, we're digital or digitalization, or if that's a word, that's what's happening out there. So you want to think about how can you make your resume stand out? How can you make your resume more digitalized or ATS compatible if you're in the US? So today's session is going to be based on a few things. I'm going to cover off on the shift in the job search methodologies. What that really means is I'm going to cover off on, okay, how does a modern 2024 or 2023 job search looks like? And then the applicant tracking system software process. I mean, that's more so in the US. There's a lot of screener software that's been used. A few of the systems could be ADP or Workday or iSIMS, or all those systems are in play. Even in countries like India or Australia or the United Kingdom, we've seen some of those systems starting to happen. Employers are embracing data-driven recruiting, so that's happening. And then the using of AI or ChatGPT or other artificial intelligence systems that they're using to look for keywords and things on the content that you're presenting as a candidate. And then also we'll talk about, touch base on the resume, cover letter, LinkedIn profile optimization, because that's important even if you're working on your CV or cover letter or LinkedIn profile. I mean, LinkedIn has a huge presence in Europe. I know for a fact that because even more than people in the US, Europeans use LinkedIn. So that's kind of an interesting phenomenon. And then also the guidance on job search, different strategies that has worked for our clients. I can kind of walk you through, and then setting up and staying up to date on industry trends. And I can kind of walk you through what to do, what to look for in the future, and the risks of AI. So when you're using ChatGPT or other systems, what kind of things could work against you? I'll cover off on that as well. So before we get started, do you have any questions, pressing questions I can answer right away? Feel free to ask any questions. Maybe Mernan can check the messages. You can type up your question to a message and then send it off, and then we can read off those questions and I can answer. How would you like to do that? How do you like to do that, Ernan?
Yeah, guys, if you can type your questions, I can read them off. In the meantime, maybe I give you a leading question, which is, I am I think I'm a pretty smart guy with a good background, right? I went to school, I did my bachelor's, I did my master's, and I've worked for quite some time. Yet, when I started looking for jobs, I went to LinkedIn and I thought these jobs were perfect for me, right? With my experience, and but I wasn't getting through. I got no feedback, very little feedback at all, even if people didn't view it. So, I guess I'm sure that this is hitting the nerves of what you do, but
Yes.
what type of encouragement can you give all of us who've been through this painful experience, no? And then share a little bit about that.
You bet. And what's happening, I mean, Ernan, I've seen your resume, right? I mean, we went through it once. And one of the things, I mean, what you've done, majority of people at this level, at your level, have done, which is you're overqualifying yourself naturally. So it just stems from the resume, stems from your LinkedIn profile, stems from your cover letter, because you have the power to present. And what that means is this resume and cover letter and LinkedIn profile content, there's so much of power. because you can decide what kind of information to add in here based on relevance. What that really means is, now think of it this way, if you were to add older experiences, like say 15 years ago, you're talking about some experience on your resume, and you're showing them clearly that you have 25 or 30 plus years of experience, naturally you can get overqualified. Or you have the resume built out in an older format, they can easily tell that you have been in the industry for a while. Or if you've added so much of content that they have to kind of go through a fine tooth comb to kind of figure out what's important, now you're overqualifying yourself. So those are things I would really watch out for. And even on LinkedIn, people do this all the time, where they add everything that they have done, even internships and other things, like older experience, maybe 20, 25 years ago. That's kind of a big no-no, because when you're adding content to LinkedIn, you have to be watchful, because recruiters are searching for specific candidates. I mean, having the right keywords is one thing, but then if you're overqualifying yourself or giving them too much information, say date lines of 1987 or something, or 1990, that might be you're just giving them too much detail to disregard you or disqualify you from that job. So one of the things as a way to motivate you, what I would think about is, you're like a really good book, but then that book, every page shouldn't be on a resume or on a CV. What you want to think about is the back cover is what someone would read and buy the book, most likely. So you want to kind of focus on that back cover and what goes on that back cover, and be very strategic. So that's my advice, Hernan.
Yeah, that's great. So it leads into the point that you talked about helping people in their careers, that are people that are starting their careers. But I see that what you're gonna talk here about applies to both people that are starting their career and also very experienced executives. So this is why, it's important that we come together as a community to share this. It's not only for people that are starting, but for people with a lot of experience, no? And that are hitting the wall and not finding those jobs. So thank you.
Absolutely. And you want to kind of think about two spectrums, right? Overqualification, underqualification. Typically, you're on this side of the spectrum where you're overqualifying, but then people who are starting up, they don't add enough detail, or they just miss out certain details, like technologies, methodologies, certain ways that they have received training, or certain certifications that they have completed, or educational qualifications. They don't even mention what they have learned out of college if they don't have a lot of work experience. So some of those things naturally needs to come through and show these employers, because if you went to college for 4 years, if you're not using some of the course material or showing, hey, I'm applying for a marketing job, I know digital marketing, I know how to set up an email campaign, those are things that they teach you in college. So that's an example. So moving on, digital transformation, shift in the job search methodologies. Now you want to think of it this way. There's a valid point that Hernan brought up here, which is, okay, I feel like I'm just applying for these jobs, I'm not getting a response, right? That's basically what that means. So what that really means is, now you want to think of it this way. These employers, 93.7% of employers in the United States, medium to large size companies, are using ATS systems today. So screener or screening software, ATS, applicant tracking system software program, whatever the naming convention may be, those are the systems that would give you an automated message a lot of times saying, thanks for applying, but we've decided to go with someone else. We'll put you in a list and we'll get back to you later. That later never comes, right? So that's kind of the frustration with a lot of people. And that's fair, because you're not an expert in resume writing, and someone like me, it took me 10 years to get here, right? So it takes a little bit, but then everyone can learn a thing or two, or maybe 5 things or 10 things today, or in the future, to kind of get there. So that's kind of what we're doing today. So you want to think about increased reliance on online platforms. So even if you're in Turkey or other countries, you might have seen in Australia, Sleek is one of the platforms that they use. Indeed is a platform that they use. They're using it heavily. LinkedIn is a platform. LinkedIn has over 1 billion people now. So LinkedIn is a major platform that they use for job looking for candidates, best candidates in the country. So you want to kind of think of those systems and the job boards. And what these job boards can do nowadays is they have the ATS system plugged in or added into their own system. So as soon as they take this application or you fill out the application, submit it, and then within minutes or within hours, you're getting a response back saying thanks, but no thanks, or passing through the system, because those systems are smart like that. So that's what you want to think about when you're using ATS or online systems like Indeed or LinkedIn or Glassdoor or ZipRecruiter or any of those systems. And then you want to think about skill emphasis and continuous learning. There's a lot of free tools out there like Coursera, Khan Academy. You want to use those tools. You want to use those learning courses, and then you want to use some of these material, because that's as good as an online course that you pay for most likely. Khan Academy, I know that it's a really good tool. And then Coursera is really another excellent tool. And also LinkedIn Learning, you can pay as you go as well. So that's another really good tool as well for your learning. But as a job seeker, I would say skill up, meaning you want to add the right type of skills onto your resume. You want to show transferable skills. You want to show soft skills. Soft skills could be based off of planning or execution or decision making, any of those soft skills. If you just search on Google, you'll be able to see a list of soft skills. And then hard skills. Hard skills could be based on technology skills or technical skills, marketing-based skills, sales-based skills, or operation skills, or anything that you're kind of focusing on. And then remote work opportunities. I mean, there's a lot more of those remote opportunities that you're going to see day by day. During the pandemic, everything was more so remote-based. Everyone had to work from home. We didn't really have an option. So what really happened was the ATS system was used about 64% at that point, or the online systems were getting used about 64%. But then after the pandemic, a lot of these employers have gone into more of an online tool where they can source candidates. So they're using more of those tools to get the best candidates to apply, and all they need to do is to go and apply on their company website or LinkedIn or any of these places. So I would watch out for those systems in play, because remote work opportunities, there's a lot of them, but then if you look at how many people are applying for these jobs, you'll see they're in the thousands typically. So I would be cautioning you to kind of make sure that the opportunities that are coming through, you want to make sure that those opportunities kind of taking specific strategic steps before applying for those jobs. First step would be to use something like the ATS system. And then data-driven recruitment. I mean, that's kind of a term that's being coined around a lot of times. What that means is recruiters really want to focus on data-driven recruiting, or things that they call them as more of the, okay, we're looking for a candidate, but they need to have these 10 skills, or they need to have work experience, or they're matching exact words and certain terminology like cross-functional team collaboration or matrix team environments or other things to get the best candidates, and they need to check some boxes. So we'll talk about that as well. So the applicant tracking system software program process, right? I mean, I wanted to kind of give you more of an idea of how that works, because in the United States or in any of these countries like the UK or Australia, or even New Zealand, a lot of these applicant tracking systems, and even Europe, you'll see like countries like Germany, you'll see the applicant tracking system software program in play. What that means is there's a position that is advertised, and what that means is the hiring manager creates the position, sends it off to the IT team. They look at it, they upload it to the system, and the system is recognizing the job posting and the requirements, and then it's going, looking at candidate profiles and matching, directly matching information of keywords, phrases, topics, lingo, verbiage, competencies, years of experience and achievements, so, and also education. So that's what the system is essentially doing. 75% of these applications that are sent over gets a rejection saying, thanks for applying, but we've decided to go with another candidate at this time. And then the rest of the 25% gets looked at by maybe an HR generalist or recruiter or someone in their staff, and then about maybe 20 to 30 people's profiles or applications get sent to the actual hiring manager. They'll look through and they'll pick maybe 10 to 15 people to interview. So that's kind of the process there. Any questions so far?
I think Nalisa has a question.
Hi, yes, thank
Hi.
you for hosting this. It's been very, very informative and very helpful. I wanted to ask specifically about the applicant tracking software, specifically systems, because in the past I realized, so what you said before is really, really important. I wanted to note, so it's a lot easier to get hybrid jobs than simply remote jobs. That's the first really, really big, huge advantage. So anybody applying for just remote jobs, your likelihood of getting them is really, really low, because there's such, math doesn't lie, basically. You're competing with thousands of people, and like you just explained, it's a much shorter.
Exactly. Yeah.
And there's a benefit to that I wanted to suggest, is that my sister, for example, worked in an office environment for a really long time, and now she has been looking for other positions, and she realized that being at home and working is really difficult. It's very hard to maintain your morale, to have that community, that teamwork kind of environment. So it's almost like the hybrid model is much better for team kind of environment. So I was like, oh, that makes sense. And it answers back a little bit of my question, which is, if the applicant tracking software, basically it's impossible to get a job because it looks for things in your past resume. If you're looking for a brand new career opportunity, if you don't have that past experience, you're just not going to be able to get it. And I realized that when I was applying for education specific roles, and I came from a nonprofit background, so I was not getting through. So the applicant tracking software makes it very, very difficult to even be seen if you don't have any experience. Being a part of an apprentice is a good way of saying you have experience and not having to work for another job. So I'm recommending everybody put that on their resumes also, you know, as part of it. But that's the question, is how do you surpass that applicant tracking software without experience? How do you get differentiated without actually having a job that shows what you're trying to get?
You bet. Great question, Elise. The answer is simple. I mean, what you want to do is to kind of, when you're looking through job postings, you'll start to see transferable experience or transferable skills that you can talk about, like communication, engagement, working with multitude of different team members. You're probably doing that on a more of a volunteer environment or other environments that you can target and talk about. So even if you might not have direct experience, you might want to think about, okay, what kind of other experience I could bring in outside of my professional career per se, and then talk about it. Like say, for an instance, well, let's take an example. If you're a barista at a Starbucks, okay, and then you're going to college, and then you went for, like say, business administration, you graduate. Talking about the barista experience probably might not be, or a server. Say you were a server or a barista. You're doing a lot of customer interaction every day. So you want to keep track of, I would say, notate everything that you're doing on more professional or volunteer level. So that way you can bring some of that into play. Because even if you don't have the exact experience, if you can discuss a mix of qualitative, quantitative information, meaning numbers or anything like say timelines or outcomes or people or followers or engagement or anything that you can discuss from your previous, like say, like not professional, maybe like working as a teller or otherwise. And then if you can bring some of that information into the fold, that would be considered as experience as well. Or if you were to like say for an instance, apprentice, if you were to put in volunteer hours, that would count. And then someone like Hernan can easily kind of walk you through some of the requirements or the responsibilities for the jobs, and then you can complete it, and then now you're getting more experience that way. So you can go in that volunteer route for sure. Volunteering is a great way to acquire experience. That's what internships are all about, right? Or you could go and get an internship in that specific field to kind of specialize in that role a little bit better. Or you could think about those other, like say, side jobs or part-time jobs or full-time jobs that you do during college. You could use that as kind of more transferable skills or experiences that you can add to the resume. And also education. I mean, why would you go to college for 4 years or 3.5 years or 3 years if you couldn't use that, right? So some of that experience itself, like say maybe you were part of a group project, or notate everything, I would say. So if you're part of a group project, or if you're part of like an assignment, like say for instance, for my MBA thesis, what we did was we created this fictional company, and we were in charge of every part of the company at some point. That was a great experience because I got to see all the everything working together. I was one week I was doing project management, another week I was doing operations, another week I was doing sales and marketing. So I got the exposure. So if you can get that exposure through local groups or meet me groups or other ways, ventures or specialties, that's another way to kind of acquire experience. Or another easy way to do this is LinkedIn groups, because LinkedIn has specific specialized groups that you can join. Those groups would help you, or at least join these groups, like say, for instance, project management groups for project management professionals, or engineering groups for engineers. So you can join these groups and you can see what other people are saying. And then also join some of those conversations or comment or post or be active in those. So that would naturally give you the confidence to talk to these people, and they'll recognize you because you're part of their group. So any other questions? Elise, did I answer the question?
Yes, you did. It answered it perfectly. It's basically,
Okay.
It's really got part of these communities, groups. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You bet. There's a ton of LinkedIn groups. Some of these groups have over 1 million people in them. So I would just join them and see what kind of things they're talking about, like say specific subject matter expertise. At least start to learn about your industry, your specialty, up and coming things that are within that internal realm. Maybe it's not advertised out there. You might be one of the first people to see, do a demo, do a trial with them. If you like a specific company like Apple, I would start to kind of put in a list of companies that you consume. Like say, for instance, I had a customer who went to Chui.com, the company, the dog food company. He went into a very high level position, but then I asked him, okay, build out a list of companies that you're really interested in or consuming out of. Like say, okay, I have a dog, now I'm consuming, like say, for instance, I'm buying dog food for my dog. So that was a company of interest because they were up and coming. They're getting to the point where I can definitely get behind them. I really like their process, their customer service and everything. So I was like, why don't you apply? Here's a resume. And he got a really good role there at Chui. So that's a prime example for that. So if you're a consumer, like say for an example, Apple or Samsung, something, I would kind of pay attention to those companies as well, the larger ones, and see how they do business and learn from them.
I thought that was your company.
Well, not yet. Yeah. So, and also another way to do this is kind of think about LinkedIn profiles. I mean, LinkedIn is a public forum, right? So you can go and, like say for an instance, if you want to work at Apple or Microsoft or Meta or any of these companies. Like say you want to be an account executive, or you want to be a project manager, or an accountant, or whatever you want to be. You can go to LinkedIn, search for those people's profiles, like say search for Apple, or search for Microsoft, or search for Meta, and then you can go through a list of people who work there, and then you can look at program manager or engineer or specific, like say data scientist, whatever that is, and then start reading these profiles, because there's going to be multiple people working in those companies. So that'll be an experience itself. Now you're acquiring knowledge. So utilizing AI and relevant keywords for an effective job search. So keyword optimization is so important nowadays. It's really hard, like Elise said, it's really hard to get through these systems unless you kind of use some kind of ATS algorithm. So as a company, like Ernan said, we kind of created our own ATS system. I just added a link on the Apprentice Worldwide group yesterday. You can go in, I can reshare that link as well. You can get your own resume review that's also working with the same artificial intelligence keywords and ATS keywords that it's looking for. So you can get within 2 minutes, it'll turn around and give you a review of your resume. So feel free to add your resume in there, and we'll be able to give you a quick and free review, complimentary review of the keywords or specific, like say accomplishments or grammar, or we can even tell you, hey, how does it visually look for a recruiter? So we'll be able to give you kind of step-by-step on how a resume needs to look. So feel free, don't forget to use that free service through us, and then feel free to set up a time with me as well. I would be happy to go through your career, more of a one-on-one coaching session, no cost. You can schedule resume review at Chui, and I'll be happy to kind of walk you through and start discussing, okay, this is what you have accomplished. Here's the next step for you. We can kind of match what you should be doing or what you could be doing. And then also we can kind of connect the dots easily, and then talk about your resume and kind of talk about improvements as well. So that's something that I can definitely do with you anytime during this week, next week, or even in the future, whenever you're ready for a job search. So feel free to use that link and get on my calendar, and we can have a conversation just one-on-one. So that way we can address, or I can address your individual, like unique situation for sure, with more focus. And we want to talk about the professional summary, tailored content, formatting, design, feedback, suggestions. I mean, we do all of these things through the link. So feel free to use that link to get your own customized resume review, and you can set up some time with me as well. But utilizing AI, I mean, I know for a fact that there are systems like ChatGPT that's out there that could also help you. So that's another avenue. That's another recommended resource that you want to start using. You can create your own ChatGPT account and have ChatGPT build some of these sentences for you, because it doesn't have the ability to build you a brand new resume. That's kind of far-fetched, but then it can build you a cover letter for a specific job posting. So that's another avenue that I would recommend you to kind of think about. And then also the LinkedIn profile content optimization. I mean, ChatGPT can give you some really good recommendations, or even bring up some of those profiles as well. Throughout the job search, ChatGPT is a really good tool or resource, but you want to be careful with it. I'll tell you in a second why. But ChatGPT, you want to be very specific and you want to be strategic. Like say, for an instance, input existing resume into ChatGPT and ask for suggestions on improving its content, formatting, and keywords. I mean, it does have its own native ATS system. I'm not sure if it's 100% accurate or anything, because sometimes ChatGPT can kind of throw random things at you as well. It also gives you on a disclaimer that this information could be inaccurate, so you want to be careful with that. But then you can request tailored bullet points as well for your work experiences and achievements, focusing on qualitative, quantitative information. You can seek advice on making your resume ATS compatible, but then I would kind of take it with a grain of salt there. because the system might not be 100%. But then cover letter creation, you can ask for assistance in creating a compelling cover letter that highlights your skills, aligns with your specific job requirements. You could definitely do that today. You could ask for guidance on structure, the tone, make your cover letter stand out, or make it more professional. So that's what ChatGPT can easily do as well. On the LinkedIn profile content, you can get advice on incorporating relevant keywords to enhance your profile searchability. Getting found is one of the most important things, especially by recruiters. So that's something I would kind of focus on as well. So what are ChatGPT prompts and how you can utilize to optimize a resume, cover letter, and LinkedIn content? So ChatGPT prompts are input instructions. So think of it as more of ChatGPT as kind of your assistant. Not so much, you shouldn't rely on ChatGPT by any means, because ChatGPT is not 100% accurate. It could throw in things that could be false. So you want to be careful. You want to do multiple searches or multiple queries. When you're using ChatGPT, make sure that you're specific. You want to customize, so choose prompts that are targeted to the roles that you're applying to, or you can directly adjust prompts or highlight your own experiences and achievements. You can do that by asking ChatGPT to customize, or you could get multi-prompts, meaning you could say, okay, generate range of responses, like say tailored to specific career goals. You can get varied prompts, like say for an instance, if you want to go for project management, or if you want to target program management, very similar. ChatGPT can give you 2 different tracks. So you can kind of have 2 tiers or three tiers or 5 different multi-tiered approach. And then also you can use ChatGPT to edit and proofread, because it does have its own grammar check as well. And use it as a supplement, not as a replacement for sure. You need to know what you're doing. It's like on a BMW factory, there's a worker at the end. After the robot does its thing, there's always checking happening, making sure everything is in line or exactly where it needs to be to that specific millisecond. So that's what ChatGPT can do. It can create content, but you're kind of the moderator of all that content. Any questions so far? And by the way, these are some of the prompts that you could use with ChatGPT. Work experience, please create bullet points highlighting achievements as a marketing manager, or list the technical skills I should include for my software development role, or help me start a cover letter for a customer success role, highlighting my skills, or highlight my skills and qualifications relevant to the job in the middle of the paragraph of my cover letter, write a closing statement for my cover letter. So you can use all of this to your advantage here. Any questions? Hernan, do we have any questions on the chat box?
No, not yet.
Okay.
We'll leave some space if you want a couple 5 minutes here at the end when you put this down, so we can have a little chat. There's some gonna prong some people. Okay,
sounds good. So I mean, one of the things as a resume writer, if I were to kind of define our process, and we built the process around the client really, or around a job seeker, or someone who is looking for employment, or a candidate. The reason why is because your career is so important, but then you want a solution sell based on what these employers are looking for. If you were to just talk about information out of your career, thinking, okay, this might work, it might not work, because the reason for that is because you're bringing in too much information that might confuse them altogether, or they might feel like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed, I don't want to read all this information. So that definitely can happen. That's the reason why a lot of experienced candidates get rejection messages, or getting the message saying, oh, you're overqualified for the role. So make sure that you're defining goals. Like say, for instance, our process, initially we have an intake form, and also we have a coach before building any resume of any sort. The reason why is because we want to ask you maybe 4 different questions. Questions like, what kind of titles what kind of locations, what kind of salary expectations, and what industries you want to target. These are the 4 main questions I would ask yourself today. What kind of titles? You can ballpark it. What kind of titles, what kind of locations, what kind of salary expectations, and what industries you want to target. Because that would help you to really focus on or hone in on what type of positions should I be applying for in the future. What kind of locations, like say hybrid or remote, like we discussed not too long ago, these positions could be hybrid, remote, or local roles. So you want to think about, okay, what kind of locations would I be interested in working in? Your situation, your unique situation might be different from someone like Elaine or her sister. So she might be thinking, okay, it's very hard to work remotely, but if you're like a college student or just getting out of college, it might be good for you because now you can focus, you can hone in, you have a computer, you don't have any distractions, you maybe have no roommates, so you can work throughout the day, you can fully focus. And then also the company might have a setup where weekly meetings or kind of touch points or touch point calls or other things that they have kind of, they have made it feel like you're working with a group of people, so that inclusivity is there. So if that's a company like that, they might include you in everything that they're doing, virtual handshake hour or whatever that they have, or virtual happy hour, they'll include you on every single thing that they're doing. So that might be a good idea for you, as your situation might be different from someone else, where you might want to go into an office, you enjoy working with people or talking to people one-on-one. So if that's your situation, that's going to be your strategic goal. So define your goals like that. I would say think about the salary expectations you have for yourself. Glassdoor is a really good place for you to go and look at how much you can be making. You can look at what other candidates are making, or other people who are in those positions are making on average. You can also go into a place like salary.com and then kind of start comparing salary based off of what other people are making. So you can do all that research and make it part of your job search strategy. And then also you can think about certain industries, I mean, up and coming industries. I would do a little Google searching to find out what kind of industries are up and coming, hyper growing, like industries like AI or cybersecurity. I know that for a fact that are really up and coming. There's a lot of roles out there for a specialized professional. So pick your industry before even going in head first, because if you're just going in head first, there's this question, this really high level Microsoft manager asked me once, when I first wanted to join Microsoft, and he was one of my friends. So we were just having lunch, and then he asked me, so what do you want to do? I said, I want to work for Microsoft. And he said, what do you mean? I mean, Microsoft is like a behemoth. So if you say that to someone else, I mean, saying that to me is okay, you're my friend. But if you were to say that to a hiring manager, they might not pick you because of that, because Microsoft is a large place, right? So you want to kind of be very specific and very strategic on the type of roles that you're picking, even within a large company like that. Even with a smaller company, you want to come up with, okay, I'm interested in the customer success manager, for an instance, but this company, and then that's the role that I'm interested in. So you want to have those definitive goals or definitive knowing what you want to go for and what companies is so important. So have that structure set up already, because by the time you go into interviews or by the time you're going into applying for jobs, that research bit needs to come through and do the homework for you beforehand, before you even build out a resume. Because someone like us, what we would do based off of those 4 questions that we would ask, what kind of titles, what kind of locations, what kind of salary expectations, industries, we can go through all these job postings up front, because before building a resume, we want to know what these employers are looking for. So we would go through all the keywords, phrases, topics, lingo, verbiage, competencies, years of experience, achievements, and education, the list that the ATS system is giving us, and look at multiple job postings, look at up to 100 different jobs if we have to get a common theme or common idea of what kind of details are coming up the most amount of times, and then ask you questions about those specific details, like say, for instance, outcomes, timelines, results, goals, whatever that means, or how did you do it? What did you do specifically? What kind of teams were involved? What kind of timelines were involved? What kind of technologies did you utilize? So for us to ask those questions, we need to be in the know. So that's part of the process where we would go through these job postings. We have several of our analysts can easily go through all these job postings, get more of an idea of, okay, we've looked at this many roles and this type of information is getting repeated. Can you answer some of those questions? So if you were to do this at home, DIY, that's my that's my advice to you. Do that due diligence research, understand what kind of details are coming up the most amount of times, and then use that information to your advantage, and then start building sentences and checking boxes. Like say, for instance, if 95% of the employers have asked for you to have 3 years of experience, or 5 years of experience, or 7 years, or 10, or 12, or 15, whatever amount of years of experience, say 10 years. 10 years of experience came up 95% of the time. If you have that many years of experience, but maybe you have 12 or 11, but what you want to say is 10 plus, because 95% of the employers have asked for it. And where it's going to get placed is on the first sentence of this resume, because that's the #1 key term. So we've looked at 100 jobs. Out of them, 95% of them have asked for that one criteria, which is 10 plus years. So that's where it goes. So that's how we would kind of structure our resume. So then the most important information doesn't go missed, or it just doesn't get buried on the second page or the last part of the first page. So that's kind of rule of thumb you want to think about. You want to bring up the experience that would be more acceptable to the larger audience of employers. So I want to go through these slides real fast. I know that we have about 2 minutes or so. I know we started a little bit late, so we can kind of maybe spend 5 minutes at the end if everyone is okay. But staying up to date with industry insights, I'm going to give you this slide. I have already shared with Hernan, so he can share it with you. Subscribe to relevant newsletters or industry articles or publications, research competitors and their recent developments. Stay informed about emerging trends, technologies. The groups of LinkedIn is a really good place to go for that, or Twitter. Inquire about online communities, forums, gatherings frequented by professionals. So that way you put a face to your name. Ask recommendations on thought leadership or blogs, podcasts, or in your field, or YouTube videos is another way to kind of get better insight into what's happening. And then also risks of AI. Over-reliance is never good. If you're relying on ChatGPT to write your resume fully from start to finish, that might not be a good idea, because it can throw out inaccurate information. It can give you information that might be morphed, and then you have to explain it during an interview. So that might not be a good idea. Limited in soft skills, and it doesn't have the soft skill where like a coach would ask you additional questions. If you're not answering the question correctly, the AI doesn't have that ability. And then also software vulnerabilities, could have, like say, for instance, ChatGPT is a sandbox. What that means is ChatGPT could be from anyone. So that means your specific frame that you're looking at, someone else on the other side of the world can access it. So that's the difficulty with OpenAI or open source software. OpenAI is open source. That means it's a free, anyone can use type of software. So I would be careful especially when you're using specific details about companies' confidential information. Like say, for instance, Hernan and I think Ignacio is working with, they're both working in the financial sector. A lot of that information is confidential. Say if they were to build their resumes, I wouldn't recommend ChatGPT. Why? Because they might accidentally give information to ChatGPT that might hurt them. And in the future, some large company might find out, hey, you've shared this information with ChatGPT. Why did you do it? You might be in a lot of trouble. So be careful with that. When you're using information, maybe use percentage improvements. Don't give them exact numbers or anything. because that could be that could hurt you in your chances in the future, even with the current company. So these are contact details. I mean, email address, phone number, website. I mean, you can contact me anytime. You can send me a quick email, Chui@thejobhelpers.com. Phone number is listed here. But if you go to our website, you'll be able to even upload your resume there, or you could use this special link we created for Apprentice. That way, you could get a discount as well as if you decide to work with us. So that's all I had for today. Hernan, please take it away.
So, bravo. So I know it's hard to do all that in an hour or less, but you did it. Guys, one of the things that I'll share here is the first thing is Chui is going nowhere, right? Chui is part of our team. Correct. So relax, right? If you have any questions, he'll be around. He'll share the presentation. This is the difference between what we do and what everybody else does, right? We are a community of people that are helping each other succeed, right? And therefore, this is the tool, one of the tools that we're using to accomplish that. You probably know we have around 20, 25 coaches that are also mentors that are helping, volunteering here, and they do it out of the goodness of their hearts. But a lot of them make a living off this, so therefore we try to support them. And I want to thank you, Chui, because one of the things that Chui has done is he donates a portion of what you do with Apprentice to us for us to continue building our platform and doing the things that we're doing. So thank you, Chui, for that. Not that we're going to make a ton of money doing that, but at least we can have a happy hour here or there, or give them a scholarship or whatever. No?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what matters is that we're helping each other. One of the things, if you want to bring up, Chui, I don't know if you have the internet there, but you want to bring up the link that you created for us?
Absolutely. I believe it's thejobhelpers.com.
So guys, if you give people this link, you'll see a difference here, right? By the way, you can either put thejobhelpers.com/apprentice-worldwide, or go to apprenticeworldwide.com/thejobhelpers. It'll kind of give you the same information. But if you look over here, you can upload your resume there, right? So Chui is not going to charge you for doing that. And I'm going to share a report of what comes out. It takes 2 minutes. And it'll show you a little video of how I did it myself, so you can see how it goes. And I got a really bad score. I got like a 30, right? And you're supposed to get like a 80 and above to be able to pass through these bots. But most importantly, look at what he did for us. And you want to go down a little bit. Chui has created these basic programs, right? So, coaching can be expensive for some people. Well worth it for people that don't want to waste their time, that are experienced executives, that have the money, don't have the time, right? To figure things out on their own. They just want results, okay? But then there's the other extreme, as you can see. You have very affordable solutions, and he did something even better, which is he put their Afterpay, so he splits the fee into 4 through Afterpay. So $25, guys, if it's gonna make a difference, and you're gonna be making $100,000, $200,000, $100 is nothing. Okay, and if you go to the regular site, if you just go to jobhelpers.com. Chui, just show people so you think that. So people see these are not offerings that Chui offers to the public. Right? This is something that he's doing for Apprentice Worldwide because he believes in you. He believes in us. And he thinks that all of us can benefit from these tools. And he's given us an incentive of that. So that's, I wanted to share that with you because that's important. Now, if you want to put that down so we can see our faces real quick. And let me see. one thing that I want to do, I want to talk about our team members here, just so you know, Chui, because this is important. So there's some homework in both for you and for us. Okay. Can you take the screen off?
I think so. Hang on one sec. Where is the?
Don't go because I'm gonna be talking about you. It's important.
There.
All of you guys. I know you don't come out on screens nowadays, but I know all of you, and the beauty of knowing all of you is that, right? Ignacio, I know, but let's talk about the people that are here. Okay. So Andres, who's here, up and coming young exec, has started his own business with technology. Andres, Chui started just like you when he was young. He looked a little nicer than today, but he looked like you. But he's a mentor for you. Okay. So I want to make sure that you guys connect at that level because Andres is trying to build his business as well. Chris, which I see over there, is a hotshot banker in Chicago, making a ton of money. He started in college with us, and he's too busy for us right now. But Chris is in Chicago, also looking to move up in his career. And again, it's good to start looking at the market. Chris, I know that you're happy where you're at because but you have to start looking at now what's going to happen in the next couple of years so that your bosses start comparing. If you get an offer in the market at 150,000 and you're making 100,000, then you can go with an offer to your boss. Hey, I don't want to leave, right? But guess what? The market is a little higher, right? These are the things that you have to start looking at. Okay. And then owner is going to be a dentist, but he's also an entrepreneur and a real estate guy, right? And then I got hold on, who else do I have? Jonathan, who's in Puerto Rico. He's finding his own path. He went to the military. He's now in the military as well, and he's a entrepreneur, a think tank. So again, we are providing these tools for you to take full advantage. And again, I don't know how else to tell you that the power is in your hands. Ignacio and I, we smoke cigars, once every other week, and we go, man, I wish I had something like this when I started, which is basically I have everything. Forget about ChatGPT. I got real life people that I can tap into their brain. So just want to make that clear to you guys how important it is, the power of networking. So there's two ways that you can network, right? Network online and network in person. I haven't found a third, but there's network online. Well, maybe through the metaverse, network in person, right? We have both ways of networking, but there's also what Chui presents is the alternative that people do not look at, which is you are blind to companies, even if you have a great experience, because you're not passing through these filters. You're an amazing person, but you don't, your resume, job letter, and LinkedIn do not speak for you. What best, the best is for me to get to know you and refer you to your boss, and say, hire this guy, which is what we do. What I did with Ignacio and what is it, Charles, or with the other guys. Yeah? I introduce them. Hey, here you go. This is this guy. This is what we do here, networking. But the second best thing is that you appear at the top of the list in these virtual worlds. No, Chui, what do you think?
And that's exactly what it is. I mean, think of it this way, okay? Hernan might introduce Ignacio to his company, but Hernan has a really good relationship with Ignacio. But Hernan's boss might not know Ignacio at the level that Hernan knows. They're not smoking cigars together. They just met, right? So they want more validation. That's where this content piece comes through. because you cannot just meet someone and within 5 to 10 minutes introduce yourself and tell enough without either boring them to death or without asking more questions, right? So a document like that, they can window shop based off of what you added in there. And if anything is relevant, they might give you a call back and say, oh, now everything is checking all the boxes now. There's credibility because Hernan brought Ignacio into the fold. At the same time, his documents or resume or LinkedIn profile, they're all talking about things that the employer likes to do. So now all of a sudden, it's just like a match made in heaven, because now Hernan is a great guy. So we like him. We have this person vouching for Ignacio, but at the same time, his documents are also speaking. That's that second layer that you want to add, you guys, because if you don't have that, like say for an instance, I have an MBA, right? And did I, do I even have a copy of my MBA? Did Microsoft care to look at my MBA or go to my educational institution and ask, hey, do you have receipts for this person graduating? No, they didn't do any of those things. I just told them that. And I put it on LinkedIn saying I have an MBA. Nobody really did fact checking for me. I know that for a certain because they didn't do any checking. The reason why is because I've kind of built my social presence. I've kind of really built myself into posting certain content or having a really good network. And then I said, okay, I have an MBA. That was kind of a checking a box, really. They didn't really go into the extent of checking everything else because they didn't have to. So a lot of times that's what happens. You come through a good channel where they believe you, but they just need to check some boxes. So you want to give them that opportunity. So you want to make sure that you're kind of checking all the boxes on your end, saying that, okay, I have all these skills, I have all these experiences, you need to see it. But then if I were to give you so much, that'll be too much. You just need to tell, you shouldn't say, hey, I own a farm. You want to say, I have cattle to sell. Right?
You know, this is great stuff. Great stuff. By the way, the other extreme is I got Ed Bermudez, right? Ed Bermudez, I got Sandra Palacios, who are mentors, very experienced, amazing people. Top. Ed is one of the top bankers that I know. Sandra is one of the top marketing people that I know. They've been mentors for a long time, but maybe they're a little tired of their jobs, or looking to transition, and they have no time, right? No time to very little time because they're dealing either with their family or with their full-time jobs, right? What advice would you give people like that, by the way, that are here?
Yeah. So Ed and Sandra, if you want to change your job, the first step is to really kind of do a little bit of, you're probably doing household chores and other things, right? If you're not too busy, just like that, do a little bit of housekeeping. Like have an idea, have a list of items, things that you can write down, maybe quick and easy bullet points, maybe notate or take notes, whatever that means for you. Take a few notes on certain things, like say salary, how much you want to make in that next role. What kind of a culture do you need to go into or do you want to go into? Is it going to be a large entity or a medium-sized entity? Do I want to wear multiple hats or do I want to be strategic and do one specific specialty thing, a specialty type of focus? So you want to ask yourself those questions if you're busy, or if you want to just talk to someone like me. I would love to spend 20 minutes with you initially and then help you, because it's the 20 minutes that we're spending. I promise you that 20 minutes, I'll add a ton of value. Just like this, I'll be able to talk specifically about your career. So spend 20 minutes out of a month, I would say, initially, to kind of really gather your thoughts at the same time, because this is a frame of mind, you guys. It's just like it's like preparing for a marathon, really. That's what it is. So you have to prepare before you go and run the marathon. So you want to do those housekeeping items beforehand. So that's my advice.
And that's absolutely, this is Ed Bermudez. Chui, we spoke a couple of weeks ago,
Yes.
and I know that I owe you some stuff, and I haven't been able, to your point, I haven't been
Oh,
able to
right.
get there. But, I think this is phenomenal, and I want to thank you for coming over, to our meeting, and certainly Hernan for putting it together. Because, I mean, Hernan is absolutely right. I mean, I have been doing this for 24 years. The last 17 for the same outfit for the same bank. But, frankly, I do feel at this point that I'm a little stuck in my career. And because I have been doing it for so long, and because I have been in the same place for so long as well, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know, what the next steps will be. I don't even know what I should be looking at. So, the support and the resources that you offer are really valuable to me. Unfortunately, year end, trying to get a couple deals closed, trying to get home, for the holidays, and I'm a little behind, but I'm gonna do my homework, and certainly I do value, the what you bring to the table to it, because I do think, and I'll tell, this to everybody who will listen, and particularly the ones in the call today. I have been in corporate America for 24 years. I have been in the financial service industry for 24 years. And I have always been accustomed to change, because since day one, the industry, the economy as a whole has evolved. You can tell that, every single year, something looks different, and you can see the progress, and you can see how we move forward. However, I will tell you, for the past 3-5 years, that level of change has accelerated significantly. The pace, the rate is a lot higher now, and
Mm-hmm.
it is difficult to keep up, particularly for people like me who's been doing this, for a good chunk of time. And I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I mean, I'm not, I still have a long runway ahead of me, but I'm certainly not a
Yeah.
spring chicken anymore. So it is more difficult to comprehend and stay up to date with all the changes. So, I certainly rely on somebody like you to help me navigate, what the potential next steps are. So thank you very much, Chui, for coming over. And again, thanks a lot, Hernan, for always keeping us on our toes, and, always up to date with whatever is going on.
Well, more importantly, Ed, and this is advice that I give, everybody and my best friends, is you're an expert in the things that you do, right? You're an expert in many things, but maybe you're not an expert in these things. Don't worry about it. There's other people that are experts, and are here to help you. Now, again, it's just a matter of raising your hand. That's one of the hardest parts, that the hardest problems that we have in our lives, is that we go through life alone and through business alone, right? And what I try to tell people is, we have each other to help each other out, and if not us, who? Right. So again, this is what Apprentice Worldwide means to me, and I know to you, is we're here for each other. Okay, it doesn't matter. When I was down, when I didn't have a job, guess who helped me stay on top of my toes? You guys, right? You guys kicked my ass and said, you know what, you got to go networking and try to find another job. Believe me, this is the truth. And again, this is what we need. We need people that tell us the truth, not people that don't care so much about us. I care about you, you care about me, and we help each other out. That's why it's so hard to get into this network.
Amen.
How many months, Chui? How many months?
And the number one issue a lot of people have is they don't know when to ask for help. That's what I've realized. I mean, a lot of people, they're just like more of zombies in the world. They're just like, they're doing the same thing, like Ed said, right? The job market has changed, everything is changing around them, and then they're doing the same mundane 8 to 5 or 8 to 6 or whatever it is. They just don't think of anything else besides that. But then I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to challenge you today. Focus on, I mean, if your job is not paying you 3 to 5% year over year, anywhere between there, you should not be in that job for very long. The reason why is this, because you have the potential. I mean, on average, you should be also asking for about 15 to 20% higher of a pay whenever you change a job. So with that in mind, I'll end things today.
Big challenge, but I know we can do it. 2024 is our year. Thank you, Chui. I know it took a little longer, but I appreciate you and what you bring to the table. Our partnership is going to be great because now people can have more open dialogues. I mean, and these are the things that we, Ignacio, Ignacio, Ed, and the people at the board of advisors are coming and trying to do more added value partnerships so that we can keep growing. And which reminds me, next year is our 10th anniversary. So we're gonna get to see each other in person in Miami, hanging out probably around May. After people get out of school, we're gonna get to hang out somewhere in South Beach or wherever. But get ready, and Chui is gonna speak. He doesn't know it, but if he comes, he's gonna be a speaker, and we're gonna have a lot of people speak and present and talk about how to take our career and our businesses to the next level, which is always a good topic. But most importantly, we're going to hang out and celebrate the goodness of having each other in our lives, right? Which is amazing. Just this is the most important thing to me. I'm so happy to have you in my life. And again, thank you, Chui, for being part of that now. So you came a little later, but I still have a place here in our hearts, my heart for you guys, for you, but okay. So
Same. I mean, I know that we met after 10 years, but hey, it's better late than never.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Again,
hey, guys, thanks a lot for everything. Thanks a lot, Chui. Hopefully we'll see you soon, but you will, you should expect to hear from me within the next week or so. Hopefully next week I'll be able to stay home and spend some time reconciling everything that we spoke, and then we can trickle the message down to everybody in the call and everybody within Apprentice, for them to share my experiences and do a little bit more with you. We really appreciate everything. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chui. I'll also be reaching out. Appreciate everything.
You bet, Andres.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
I'll share the recording. By the way, Chui is in our global group as well. We're going nowhere.
Yeah, feel free to message me anytime on WhatsApp, or we can set up time anytime.
Right. All right, bud. Take care. I gotta go.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah.